Student production. The following program is a SUTV student production. The views expressed are not necessarily those of Salisbury University, the University System of Maryland, its regents, administration, officers, employees, or representatives.
Good evening, welcome to Sports Night. I'm joined here by Christopher McCowiak. Wow, I totally butchered last name. I'm so sorry about that. It's fine. Welcome back.
Yep.
Parapod 9, I'm Travis Nardella. Let's get started tonight with some men's lacrosse. So sorry.
It's all good.
Men's lacrosse, they're 9-0, 2-0 in conference, number 2 in the NCAA. Might be number 1 next week since Tufts lost, we mentioned before the show started. They have a 3-game homestand coming up against Roanoke, number 17 in the country, Southern Virginia, and Wesley. Do you think they can escape those 3 games undefeated still?
The Roanoke game, which I'm fortunate enough to call the next 2 home games, which is Roanoke and Southern Virginia, I think if they can get by Roanoke and not overlook teams, because they got Cabrini, they got York and Cabrini to end the year, both ranked. York's currently number 4 in the country. They don't overlook those teams. I think we're on our way to a perfect season.
I would agree with that. If they don't overlook teams, they look at all of them as a big competition. They go at each game. I think all of them will be able to just go at it and just make it all the way to the NCAA.
The tough game this weekend is going to be Roanoke. Roanoke, a team that beat Denison, who's in the top 5 now, but 2 losses that they maybe shouldn't have had on the season. It's a team that can slip up easily, especially on the road here at SU.
Yeah, if you look at all the ranked teams that they've beat this year, I don't think they have overlooked anyone because pretty much every single game has been a battle except for a few where they've just taken control. But you know, they have an offense that scores a lot of goals. They're 7th in the NCAA in goals per game. They're only allowing 6.96 per game. And the other day against Mary Washington is the only game where they've scored under 10 goals. So they have the offense to just be dominant, stay dominant. Their defense has been really good in the absence of Newt Krause, who graduated, and really, I think he would be proud about what the defense has done this year.
To go off of that, they have 5 fourth-quarter shutouts this year, 4 against ranked teams. The only unranked fourth-quarter shutout was against Washington College. They're a fourth-quarter team. We saw it against Lynchburg where they scored 6, and Kalama had 3 of those. So, and Kalama is part of that 3-headed monster with Cirillo and Blondino, where those are the top 3 point scorers on our team and best 3 in the nation probably up there. They're in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, 3-headed monster of offense, but it's not just them 3. They have a lot of goal scorers.
We saw it balanced against Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, balanced against Washington. There's just a lot going on. You know, it's a shame that the War on the Shore has just kind of turned into another regular game on the schedule. But that game was last week. Salisbury won 14-2, just completely dominated the Shoremen in every aspect. I was calling that, and it was just from start to finish. You know, we thought it was going to be a close game in the first couple minutes, but Salisbury just took over.
Yeah, you talk about that depth on scoring. 7 players with 10-plus goals and 3 players with 12-plus assists. Clearly, with that many assists on the team, this is clicking. They have great chemistry. And looking at what is supposedly still a rivalry in D3, you're winning 14-2 in that game and really blow out each year now. Very good prospects this season for the men's lacrosse team.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly a war on the shore anymore if you want to go over the past history in this year as well.
And to go off of that, the last time Salisbury started this well was 2 years ago when they lost to Tufts in the championship game. And they also have 5 perfect seasons in school history, so they know how to handle business when it comes to it.
Do you guys think that they can? Now, I know there's only halfway through the season. They still have 8 regular season games left, and 4 of them against ranked teams. But do you think they can head into the NCAA tournament with a 17-0 record?
I think the tough game is going to be York. At York, it's on the road.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that, yeah. The tough game's going to be York.
Yeah.
Yeah, at York on the road, you got to travel a bit to get there too. it'll be a big test this weekend is getting that number 1 ranking, though, starting out with that, and that'll be against some opponents that you think they could easily beat, but easy to slip up, and this is their time to shine right here.
Yeah, so now we're going to switch over to women's lacrosse. They are also having an amazing season. Yesterday they took on the second-ranked team in the country, Franklin and Marshall, and they were down 4-3 early with just over 11 minutes left in the first half, and Emma Wall would tie the game up at 4 apiece, and that was her third already of 5 in the game. Now with under 5 minutes to go in the first half, same score, Hannah Young would put the Seagulls up 5-4, and less than a minute later, Lindsay Wagner comes from behind the goal, and she's going to put Salisbury up 6-4. And then Diplomats would go on a run. They would score 4 in a row, take an 8-6 lead early in the second half. Allie Henson cuts into the lead, making it 8-7. And less than a minute to go, or less than a minute later, 45 seconds, Emma Wall with their 4th goal ties the game at 8. And then in this game of runs, really for both teams, Salisbury completes their 3-goal stretch with Hannah Young giving Salisbury the 9-8 lead. Now Salisbury up 10-9 with under 7 minutes to go. Gianna Falcone, the goalie, runs all the way up to near midfield, sends the pass to Dana King, and she's going to run past 5 Diplomat defenders, send it over to a wide-open Megan Wallenhorst, and she's going to slide it into the net. Easy game winner, and that would prove to be the game winner. Salisbury hangs on, wins 12-10, in really, a game at home that they wanted badly.
I think they wanted it solely based off of 2 weeks ago when they lost at home to Gettysburg, the number 6 team in the country, and they were, I believe, 7th or 11th at the time. So they definitely wanted to make a statement. They've been in this situation before. This senior class has won 2 national championships. They won a 3rd one.
Yeah, exactly. Last year they lost in the first round at home of the NCAA tournament, really something you would never expect to see, and they are coming back with a vengeance this year. They're playing really good lacrosse. And so Emma Wall, 5 goals in the game. Hannah Young, Gabby Neves, 2 of their own. Emma Wall, 5 goals. You wouldn't really expect that. You would expect 5 goals out of someone like Neves or Wallenhorst, but that shows just like the men's team, the women's team has just a variety of options, and they know how to score.
Yeah, honestly, this game against Franklin Marshall reminded me of the 5-2 upset to start the season for men's lacrosse team over Lynchburg. Just adversity later on in the game, fighting back. They were, in this game, women's lacrosse down early, fought back, gave up a couple goals to start after the halftime period, and then got back into it, and late goals to really seal it up. And just great play from the offense and defense all around, and a big win for them. And want to give a shout out to Hannah Young, who's from my high school in North Penn in Pennsylvania. Only player on the team from Pennsylvania.
Well, there you go. Now looking ahead, their next game is at Mary Washington, who's 17th in the coaches poll. Salisbury, like we mentioned, 5th. This game's on the road. They're already 4-1 this season against top 10 opponents. This will be their first game against a ranked opponent, not in the top 10. How do you think they're going to handle it coming off of this huge win?
I think they're going to carry this momentum into win. This is nothing new to this program. They're used to playing ranked teams, whether it's at home or on the road, and they go in and they handle their business.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's on the road. They just had this huge win. They're going to want to have this in-conference win and just go and dominate all over. They're playing well. Everything's clicking. So, honestly, I think it'll be a intense game, but I think it'll be fun to watch for them.
Yeah, these conference games are really what's important. They're already 2-0 in conference play, and this is a game. They already also beat 8th-ranked York in conference play, and I believe that was on the road as well. So they just are heading into the deep part of the CAC schedule, and those are the games that get you into the tournament. Do you think Gettysburg will be their only loss, or they still have an extremely tough schedule left? They are yet to play Christopher Newport, who's ranked 19th, St. Mary's, who's currently ranked 20th, and TCNJ, who they lost to last year, who is ranked 4th. All of those games are on the road, including this Mary Washington game on the road. So 4 games against ranked opponents. Do you guys think, just quickly, do you think that they keep going?
I think TCNJ will be their one and if only one loss. I think they can go in and beat those other teams. I think it's just the TCNJ. It'll be another close game like it was here against Franklin and Marshall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that for the games that they do have left, TCNJ would be their tough one on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to put in perspective this game against Franklin and Marshall. They had to travel down about 3.5 hours from where they're located to face SU at SU for a lacrosse game. It's a pretty tough environment.
Yeah. So now we're going to switch over to softball, who has found their groove. A rough start to the season, but now they've won 14 in a row. they're sitting at 16-3, ranked 9th in the country. And just some quick figures. In this 14-game winning streak, they have 8 shutouts, 4 games allowing 2 or fewer runs, and 9 games where they've scored at least 8. They haven't played any conference games yet. They opened this weekend against Christopher Newport, who's ranked 3rd in the country. Go figure, Christopher Newport. But how do you think they're going to take their winning streak on the road? Do you think they can, maybe at least split this doubleheader this weekend?
I think they can at least split it. I think they definitely are. Everything's kind of clicking together. These girls, they want that win. They want to have this season keep going as well as it is. I know for the coaching staff and just like observing and talking to all of the girls that they're ready to just go back and get a championship. They want to beat CNU, so they're ready for a good rest of the season.
I think this will be a huge first step in that process of taking that step towards the College World Series, which is in Salem, Virginia, and getting that elusive championship. They were so close 2 years ago. And the senior class, just being able to almost grasp it and taste it, I'm sure they're hungry and they want to go back and go. And I'm sure same thing with the head coach, Margie Knight. She's been here 20 years and come up so close so many times and just not been able to. But I think they found their pitching. I think Brittingham's gained confidence. I think Mizell has pitched terrific as a freshman. I think this team's going to be dangerous for the next 4 years as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the seniors are hungry. If you look at their top three hitters at the plate, Paige Knusman, Molly Simpson, Kim Dorsey, all 3 of them are seniors. Molly Simpson hitting .492, Dorsey .464, Knusman .426. All of them at least 26 RBIs. They are really the 3 hitters who every single pitcher that they've faced is just really afraid of them. And then, go ahead.
You got to pick your poison, because with bases loaded or runners on certain bases, do you pitch to Knusman or do you walk her? Do you pitch to Dorsey or Simpson? Even Simpson's had a breakout year this year. She has 5 home runs. She's 2nd on the team behind Knusman. So I would have expected Dorsey to have that, but they're just playing great, and you got to pick your poison with those 3. And then on top of that, Leanne Collins leads the team in hits and also runs scored on the team. She has 26 runs scored, 32 hits. So almost every time she gets on base, she scores.
Yeah, and Leanne Collins, who for the most part bats in the leadoff position, and then you get to the middle of the lineup where it comes to Knusman, Simpson, Dorsey, it's almost impossible for her not to get home. And when you look at the pitching, like you mentioned, Brooke Mizell, 1.36 ERA. As in her freshman campaign, 6.55 strikeouts per game, to go along with Brittingham, 7.19. They've really come together, and Brooke Mizell is trying to make Salisbury forget who Rachel Johnson even was.
Speaking of Rachel Johnson, her freshman stats are a mirror image of Rachel Johnson's. Very similar, and the way they carry themselves on the mound, I'm seeing flashbacks to last year with Rachel Johnson stepping in. Mizell has that command and that confidence. I think that's what's going to be key going forward for this team.
And looking at the CNU series this weekend, last year in the regular season, they lost at home to CNU 7-1 and 13-2. Really, you wouldn't expect that. And then in the CAC championship game at CNU, they lost again 7-4. And then you advance to the NCAA Super Regionals. Winner take all in a best 2 out of 3 series, honor the College World Series. Salisbury sweeps them 8-0 and 5-0, and ends Christopher Newport's season after beating Salisbury 3 times during the regular season. So wouldn't you think CNU is looking for some revenge this weekend?
Oh, definitely. I would definitely say that they are. CNU versus Salisbury is just a rival in most of the sports that we have here. So for last year, for us to take their series and just beat them at the end of the season, they're coming back for it.
And to kind of make it worse is 2 years ago when we went to the College World Series, they beat CNU in the Super Regional too. So that Super Regional is that hump that Christopher Newport has to get over.
Yeah. So now on to our final sport of the night, just quickly touching upon baseball. They won today, 34-10. Just casually slipped that in there. But outside of that, they can't pitch. They gave up 10 runs. Forget they scored 34. They gave up 10. They are not really having a great year. Do you think? How far do you think they can advance with the pitching staff that they have right now?
Well, it has to improve. That's one
Yeah.
thing. The best pitching is the relievers. Korzinski, Go, Humbertson, at times, who was good today, coming in relief for Caleb Johnson. But when your best pitchers are relievers and they give up a few runs and they're still your best pitchers, that's not a good sign. And if they score 34 a game, then yeah, sure, they're going to win the World Series. But at this point, they have the batters. You need the pitching, though, because defense wins championships.
Exactly. When you look at their series to start the season against Cortland, they were just completely blown out of the water. So they're going to have to get better. But that's all the time that we have tonight for Sports Night. For Chris, Kara, and Matt, I'm Travis. Have a great night, everybody, and a great weekend.